Step into the paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler, brought to you by Paranormal Inc., right here on WLFE DB Radio.
We're back.
We're live.
It's been a while.
What's up, y'all? We've been a while. My apologies for our hiatus. Both Ernie and I, our jobs kind of changed around. Life got in the way, a little COVID here and there, and just everything got in the way.
A lot of events in between.
Yeah, events and things like that. So how you been? Long time no see.
Wow.
Welcome to the party, and thank you for taking your Sunday evening out to watch our full,
Tonight's going to be fun, man. I like it because, I bounce all over the place. And basically, that's what tonight's going to be a lot of bouncing. But
before we start, we want to basically send out some honors to somebody. One of our favorite people at the Bash, she, if you've been to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash, she was always that bright, smiling face at the gate, handing your wristbands out, taking your money, and just doing things. Kara Davidson.
And that's a photo of Kara and Stephanie and Lori, but Kara is the one in the lady in the middle. And I tell you, man, this is the hardest part. I mean, despite the fact that everyone loved Kara, she was just always laughing, always smiling. Unfortunately, Dave and we never met Kara until we started becoming affiliated with the Bash, but everyone up there are friends with Kara outside. But this is the hardest part for me, and I'm sure you're going to relate. When we get to the Bash, we get there always 2 days early or whatever, and we're starting to group up and we hang out and eat dinner, and we're talking about the upcoming weekend. But it doesn't officially start for us until we walk that hallway and see Kara sitting there at that table, and she gives us our VIP wristbands, and it's always laughing and joking. But it's just like the Bash was never officially kicked off until we got to that point, and Kara put that wristband on us. Then we're like, oh wow, it's really here.
Absolutely.
But like Dave said, we found out earlier this morning, Pam Berry called me and told me, and I was floored, man. I just don't even know what to say. It's just, we're kind of in shock still.
Mind blown.
So Kara, we oh my goodness, we love you to death and miss you already. And
rest in peace, sweetie. We already miss you.
Yeah, everybody that's watching, listening, or whatever. A lot of you have been to the Bash and will be at the next one. So please, just thoughts and prayers for Kara and her family and all her many friends. My goodness, everybody that goes to the Bash had to pass past her.
Yeah, absolutely.
So our thoughts and prayers, and we're just devastated over that loss.
And I heard somebody's birthday was today.
Yes.
What's up with that?
I want to wish a very special birthday to Ruby and I's granddaughter, Ashley. We love you more than I can't even put into words, and you know that. Yeah. But I got to share this. I always had to try to say something funny. I just wanted to share a story because Ashley was such a big part and inspiration of what I do in the paranormal. And when Ashley was little, she used to spend a lot of weekends at our house. And before everyone knows me personally, we live on a dead-end street, and at the top of the street is a school. So there's a wood line that runs behind our house, and it goes all the way behind the school, up and down and around and down the hill to the main road. So she always loved to walk in the woods. You know what I mean? So we would go up in the woods, and she'd find a walking stick, and she had to find one for me because we weren't allowed to walk through there unless we had this walking stick. So we're walking through the woods, and she was convinced that there was a witch that lived in these woods. I don't know. I can't even imagine where she would get that idea from.
There's an ex-wife joke there somewhere.
No. I don't know ex-wife. So anyhow, one night we were going around the school, and it was kind of weird. There was a lot of windows on the school, And everyone knows what matrixing is. It's when you see something that doesn't look familiar and your brain wants to put it into reality for you. So it's kind of like when you look up at the sky and there's a cloud and you can say, hey, I see a dog, or I see a butterfly, or whatever. So Ashley's looking up at the school and she's like, you see that in the window? And I'm like, what? And she's like, there's an alien looking out the window at us. So, but the funny thing is, Dave, school's dark. It's a weekend. For whatever reason, that window belonged to the auditorium of the school. The inside light started flickering.
Oh, geez.
Apparently it's a malfunction, but of course, you know, it was probably a ghost.
Oh, geez.
So that following Monday, Ashley goes back to school. I forget what grade she was in, very young. And the teacher asked how their weekend was. And she said, well, I spent the weekend in my grandparents' house, and we went out and we had pizza, and I saw an alien. And the teacher's like, what? Where did you see an alien? And she says, well, we saw it at the school looking out the window at us while we was chasing spirit energy around. And they called. They called home and asked like if something was going on. So I guess you had to be there, but
no, that's so good.
Absolutely.
Dude. That's so
but
good.
One last quick one, and I won't ramble on about this.
Too late.
You know the road we take to go to the mall or whatever, and we call it the haunted road.
Yeah.
There's some legend about the road.
Right.
So we used to always, I would drive the kids down the haunted road. So one night, Ashley was spending the night. Now, this isn't paranormal. It's just perfect timing. And we stopped at McDonald's. So we're continuing down the haunted road. And there was a lot of weird sounds coming from the woods. And I can't lie about that. So, of course, riding down the road, I open all the windows, the sunroof. I'm making it scary. So I was like, Ashley, what would happen if I would turn the lights out on the car? And I'm slowing down. And when I turned the lights on, someone was standing in front of the car. And she's like, oh, stop. So I slow down to damn near a crawl and I turn my lights out. No sooner I turn the lights back on and start to laugh, I don't know what it was. I'm suspecting it was an owl. Something swooped down on the front of my car and the wingspan covered my entire windshield. And it was perfect timing. I screamed, she screamed. And we're like, all right, we had enough fun. Let's turn around
now.
But I actually stopped because I didn't know if like I hit it. It was stuck under my, because I don't know where it went. All I know is when I turned those lights on, whatever it was swooped on the front of my car and it just covered the entire windshield and was gone.
Oh my Lord.
So anyway, happy birthday, Ashley. Hope it's not too embarrassing, but
all right. So guys, check this out. We did it was a public investigation at a place called Ramblewood Mansion in Ramblewood campground last night. And we're going to bring in a guy who was with us last night and appreciate him coming. But first of all, that place is just wicked, wild, active.
I can honestly say it's not what we expected.
Yeah, and we actually found out something along the way. So I'm going to bring him in first and talk. But when you kind of get this, when I found out this morning and put two and two together, it blew my mind. I called Ernie. His mind melted. And I think, I know Laura's in the feed right now too. Laura, this is going to pop your popcorn. So welcome, Dave. How you doing, brother?
Hello, guys.
Everybody watching is our friend Dave Bergman. We met him at the Samuel Miller Mansion when he came to one of our public investigations, and for some strange reason, I haven't asked him off camera yet. Yeah, he kind of liked Dave and I and came to our event last night. So, but let me set the stage, and then you guys can take it. We were on this large property where the mansion sits, and Laura Shirey told us, go down to the pavilion. A lot of activity in the area down there. So we go down to this outdoor pavilion at this campground, and we're running several devices. And I was running one which is called an Ovilus. For those that don't know what an Ovilus is, it's a built-in word bank of thousands of words. And the logic behind it is that the energy that it emits will enable a spirit who wants to try to speak to draw a word from that memory bank to answer our questions. Now, also, those of you that use Obelisk know you occasionally get a name.
A name. Every now and
It
then.
happens. But we got the same name about 3 times while we were down there. Do you remember, Dave?
Dave, do you remember the name that we kept getting while we were down there?
Addison.
Okay. And then afterward, we come back up to the mansion. We're using a Phasma box. Now, Phasma box is basically a device that uses a whole bunch of different words, and it can come in sentences. It can pick up radio waves. But we're out in the middle of the boonies. So we don't have any internet access. We don't have any radio access. None of that's there. And my computer's completely cut off. And we can still keep getting this name, Addison. So, and we got a whole bunch of other names, but that name kept reoccurring.
Right. And it would I mean, it was amazing enough for me that 2 pieces of equipment, coincide with each other.
And we're like, so we've heard a whole bunch of stories about like a woman who hung herself there, people about slaves that died. We've heard stories, but why are we getting this name Addison? Well, this morning I'm out with Mom, and Dreama King, Mike and Dreama were there. Dreama like literally is like hammering me on text. And I'm trying to deal with Mom, and I'm trying to ignore it. And I'm like popping up, and she's sending me little pictures and stuff. I'm like, and like blurbs. I'm like, whatever. So finally she starts calling me, and I finally, Dreama, I'm out with Mom right now. I'll call you back later. She's like, it's important. Call me back. So I called her back about 15, 20 minutes later. And then when I slowed down enough to hear what she was saying and then look at what she was saying, my mind just melted. So apparently when you're coming into Ramblewood.
Now that's a whole property because it tells you welcome to Ramblewood property. Yeah.
Right. It's a huge, like literally, Pocono-sized property. And they have buildings. It's a campsite, but it also has a whole bunch of other things around. Apparently, they sold off a section of the property on the right as you're coming in, and there's new homes being built. Well, what happened was Dreama found the model home, and here's what I'm going to do. The model home that's built on Ramblewood property is called Addison. And I'm seeing Dave's reaction right now.
Are you serious?
That's a picture.
That's a model home. You look it up
on the website.
Type Ramblewood model home and look it up. This came from an actual sale website. If you look, there's the price of the model.
And that's the name. The unit name is Addison.
And the actual unit name is called the Addison.
Wow.
That's It took me about see, I did the exact same thing. Ernie did too. Right. So my mind is just like, what?
And we did not like Dave and I have never been to Ramblewood.
Never been.
I mean, we've heard about it, we've seen it on TV, but
I've never been there either.
Yeah, we do so many of these public events at different locations. We just show up and do our thing.
And
we're not, if we were to investigate, if we were to research somewhere, it's for the history,
right?
And what we think may be.
Why would I be looking at new homes?
Yeah.
And Dreama sent this to me, and
we never knew they were building on the property. Like I didn't even know I was there and didn't know they were building on the property.
Right.
That's how big it is, But that kind of like, and my first, what is the ongoing theory?
Jerson's mind is melting too.
Whenever there's remodeling, refacing, it always kicks up activity because.
But think about remodeling the property with that.
Right. But that was what my first go-to thought was. Maybe we were getting that name because whomever's there from the past isn't happy that they're doing that on the property.
Right. I thought the name we were getting was maybe the woman who hung herself.
Of course, that's what you're. Yeah.
Or maybe one of the help that was there, whatever. But it's like wow.
Yeah.
So, but we had a lot of fun there last night. So it started. Ernie and I got there about an hour and 15 minutes early, and the caretaker there, his name was James, and he kind of gave us the once over. Here's how it works. Here's everything. Here's the basement. Here's what happened. Even Laura liked it too. So, Yeah, exactly. You know, a whole nother level. That's one way to put it.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there just looking at the mansion, and I see this face in a window, and I'm like, and then it moved, and I'm like, Ernie.
Well, I was inside. I heard him yell.
Yeah.
I heard Dave yelling for me.
Yeah.
And I walk out, and he's out there with the caretaker, James. It was still daylight, but it was getting dark. And Dave says, "Man, I saw a face in that window." Like, well, I look up in the window, and I don't see anything. But I didn't realize the next window over, apparently there was something in the window, because as I'm staring up trying to figure, like, okay, what could they have possibly seen? I seen a shadow just completely walk right to left, walk out of the frame of the window and around, and was gone. And it was to the point where it was so clear that I was almost kind of like, we went back in and double checked to make sure
somebody came in.
Yeah, to make sure no one was in there, because once the mansion was opened up, Dave and I had cut out to go get some food and come back.
Right.
And I'm like, somebody had to go in there, man.
Yeah,
it was that blatant of someone walking past that window.
Yeah.
Jim's seen that too.
What's that?
Jim's seen that same thing.
Oh, really? Oh, I wish I knew that. I didn't know.
While we were in the room.
Oh, wow. Really? But it's funny because, like I was saying off air, that a location's good when 90% of your evidence is personal experiences, where you didn't need any cameras and meters and gadgets. That it was people was seeing and hearing stuff in real time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were near the end. Now I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but near the end, several of the guests had already left. Miss Laura had already cut out. And Laura's planning this on a sleepover over there. That's going to be fun. But we were upstairs on the second floor, and there was probably, about 5 of us in the room, 6 of us in the room?
It was a couple more than that.
Yeah. And, we were running the Phasma box. We're all just kind of talking about it. What are you doing?
Well, what we had set up was a REM pod. Mike King was on the bed across from us, and we had a K2 next to Mike
laser grid,
and then we used the G2 laser grid that you may see on the show Ghost Hunters. What it does is, everyone knows the millions of green dots. Well, our laser grid does the same thing, but you don't see the dots. What it does is it has a monitor, and it'll detect if something breaks that beam,
and it's hot or cold.
However, it's also a separate little square on the screen that shows you whether what's breaking it is hot or cold and exactly whether it is.
Whether it's far, near, left, or right, and it shows us.
Right.
And so we aim it at the doorway, and we keep getting something moving, and then you hear something on the stairwell.
Well, Dave was standing, he was standing out along the banister, and I was in the room with you, and we actually heard somebody coming up the steps. And I heard them when they got to the second landing right before.
You could clearly hear the footsteps
coming up the steps. And at that point, unknowing to Dave and our friend Jay.
Yeah, but he's hearing the feed.
They were hearing a conversation downstairs, which they didn't say, "Hey, I hear something," because they thought it was Laura on her cell phone.
Laura was downstairs on the front porch.
Only Dave Bergman and myself knew that Laura had been gone for about 30, 40 minutes.
I had no clue. I was listening to Laura talk downstairs on the phone. And actually, I was thinking in my head, man, she's talking kind of loud. Right. It's going to come through on the tapes and all that. I'm like, why is she knows better. Why is she talking so loud?
What got me was I didn't hear the conversation. Jay did, because he was right at the doorway. But that female voice let out a loud moan.
Yeah.
And then that's when I jumped up and ran after.
I thought Miss Laura had fallen or something.
Right.
And everybody's like, who is that? And I'm like, that's just Laura. And then Dave tells me, what'd you tell me at that point, Dave?
She left. I walked her to her car. She got in and left.
Yeah.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, there was no one downstairs. And I mean to tell you, and all this is matched up because the whole time, like we were getting the footsteps and all, we were getting hits on the
K2
on the motion sensor, showing us exactly where it was,
Yep.
and it's where we were hearing those footsteps is exactly where it was lighting up on. So it all went together.
But then it would jump and go over to the K2. Then it would go from the K2 over to the REM, then over from the REM back to the laser grid. And it was literally walking, whatever it was, walking around the room. And
yeah, when he thought he heard that voice and he went to the stairs and the door opened.
Yeah, the front door just opened up.
Now that door
possibly could have been the wind. I'll give it that. It was really.
I mean, it could be, but this is why, Dave and I are quick to throw everything out.
Yep. When in doubt, throw it out.
But here's the thing, man. It's one of the old doors
that you got to put your shoulder in.
And the part that latches has the big, like a wooden box almost looking. And although the door was unlocked, you had to kind of shoulder bump it to open the door.
Yeah, it was a sticky door.
Because at one point I thought we were locked out and I actually had to bump it. So anyway, long story short, we're sitting upstairs and we just hear this creaking sound coming from downstairs. So myself, our friend Jay, and Dave, we go down and the door, and this is another thing why I don't think it was the wind. The door was wide open.
Yeah.
Like if it was the wind would have opened it a quarter of a, but this door was wide open. And it was just insane. It was insane.
It's mind numbing. I mean, just some of the things that happened is just, I really can't, like, you had your motion music box and Jim had his out aiming at that one bedroom and they kept going off. And then tell them about the whistle.
Oh, we were inside the parlor when you first go in the mansion. And we were hearing, and it was pretty consistent. It sounded like a lady or a little girl making some sort of noise. So Dave Seiler says, man, that's an owl. So we're still hearing it. Everybody's hearing it. So I went outside. I stood on the porch. I went a little left, a little right, and I could hear them inside yelling, Ernie, it's doing it. But I wasn't hearing it outside. So I come back in and I told him, I'm like, whatever we're hearing is coming from inside the house. Now,
and the way it was going is you just hear go.
Right.
Like that.
While we're hearing this, I'm walking the hallways and I hear them, it's doing it, and I'm not hearing nothing. So I was like, to me, it sounded like it was near the steps. So while this noise is continuously, every couple seconds making this moaning noise or whatever it was, I ran up the steps. Well,
and as soon as he went up, when he stopped, you heard a, and it's gone.
And it never did it the rest of the night. And when I was upstairs, I didn't hear it either. And I went up because I even heard you guys say, "Oh, that's Ernie walking down the hallway."
Right.
Because I was walking up and down the hallway, listening in the rooms, and it was nothing. But just the amount of personal experiences. For example, when we heard the footsteps, in between hearing the footsteps come up the steps and the lady moan, which they thought was Laura, in between those two events, when I went out in the hallway, I saw the shadow of a head because it was real thick wood in between the windows on the landing. But I saw a shadow of a head. It moved in the frame. It stayed on the wood. Like somebody, it coincided. Like somebody come up the steps and you saw the shadow of their head.
Right.
And then it just went away.
The same thing happened up in the bedroom on the second floor on the right side. Dreama, let's see. Jaden's, there was a whole bunch of other people.
See, I had a different group. I wasn't in that group. So we were experiencing.
We had the laser grid out at the door, and you could see two things going like this on the laser grid, but you could see the shadows on the wall like it jumping across. And then it would peek out, and then it would jump across.
And you guys can confirm this. We've been to a lot of locations. I have never been in a house that's so dead silent. I mean, it was so it was just an eerie silence when you went in that building. Like there was nothing creaking. There was nothing. It was just like you completely went deaf.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
So, Jerson,
what's up, Jay?
How you doing, brother?
How's it going, guys?
So, when we were down at the pavilion, you saw a lot of things going on down there. Can you tell the people that are watching what you saw?
All right. So, from my point of view, I was kind of outwards because there were other benches at the side, but from my angle, they had the REM pod, they had the mag light out, and I had my my A2 also at the end of the table. So we kept on hearing, we kept on getting lots of names, like different sorts of names, but they kept on hitting at least 3 to 4 times the same name, which was Addison. And then when Ernie later in the day, he texted me telling me and showing me the picture of the home and the property and the person's name under it, or the company's name under it. It blew my mind so hard.
Yeah, we just put that up just a couple seconds ago, showing the name. That Addison, just my mind is still melting at this point.
It is. Mine's
now you were up on the second floor with us when we heard what we thought was Laura up there. What did you think that was Laura as well?
I honestly thought, I didn't know who she was, name wise, because I guess I didn't catch it, but by the way how she was speaking, I thought it was like Laura. And I was just sitting there listening while we were doing the Phasma, and I just kept on hearing chattering. I was like, dang, who's on the phone right now? But
yeah, I was like, she's talking loud.
Look, and for those that this is the history of the words that was on the obelisk.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I got longer arms. Down a little bit. No, no. Yeah, you keep going.
Yep.
Keep going. You can see Addison.
There's Addison.
So it really did pop up on the obelisk, and that was 9:47.
Yeah, I mean, it was just that place.
9:47, 9:52, and this was all while it was 4 minutes,
right?
5 minutes, whatever. Yeah,
there it is again.
So I mean, there's a proof that we actually got that name,
which is mind-blowing. When Dreama sent that this morning, my mind is still melting at this point. So you heard Laura, what I thought was Laura downstairs. That's why I didn't say anything. And my mind was thinking, God, she's talking loud. She's we're trying to run an investigation up here. Why is she talking so loud? And when Dave told me she had left, I mean, you could hear my jaw hit the ground. I'm like,
well, you know what's weird too? When Dave and I first got there, we were going through by ourselves. And when we got up to, I think it was the second floor, Dave heard what sounded like a man breathing very heavily.
It's just like.
So Jay experienced the same thing when we went up there.
Yeah.
Later on that evening, I was talking to Laura, and she was giving me a brief history about people that lived there or whatever. And she said that one of the guys that was used to go upstairs, or his room was upstairs, was a real heavy smoker. So I was like, for those that aren't familiar with the Phasma box, when we run that, it's basically a lot of pre-programmed phonetic sounds that sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo. That's why when we get a word, we feel it could be legit. But how many times when we were in that room where the lady hung herself, over that Phasma box, we got someone coughing.
Yeah. You could actually hear it on the Phasma.
A man coughing. Yeah.
Several times.
Yeah.
The smoker died in the back room. That's the one you went on the bottom floor. Okay.
Right.
But how about when we were down at the pavilion and Dreama asks, "Are you sitting between us?"
Yeah. I was on one side with Mike, and Dave and Dreama were sitting next to each other.
And I had my laser grid pointing behind me, which kept going off.
There was a cold spot directly behind Dave that was registering on the motion
laser.
Yeah, the laser detector. So Mike's wife, Dreama, just randomly said, "Are you between us? Sitting between us?" Instantly it goes, I am. So
yeah. And that's like, wow. And then Jerson's K2 kept going off at the end of the table, and there's no electric there, and if there is, there's lights, but they're not on.
In the center between Dave and I, we had a REM pod, a K2 meter.
And
the far end where Jay was a K2.
Right, all the way at the other end, and they were both going off simultaneously.
Whenever this REM pod would hit the K2 at the far end by Jay would go off, yet the one next to the REM pod wouldn't. So it was just a lot of
wild stuff there.
It's one of them places we gotta go. We gotta have another event there again because we got
an overnighter.
We got a little idea of what we think, but it was too much in too little of the time.
I didn't expect even half of that. I really didn't.
Well, the next time we're there, we're definitely running our camera systems because, like I said, we never imagined this. And I was just telling Dave off air, I'm like, I can only imagine what we missed.
Yeah.
If we would have only had those damn cameras set up, I can only imagine because we had so many voices and footsteps when everybody was in the same room. There was no one there. And the good thing about the location of Ramblewood, there is nothing around you. There's no sounds coming from the outside because you're in the middle of freaking nowhere. There's nothing. It isn't traffic going by, people walking by. You're not hearing airplane. It's just dead silence.
I'm so used to being at the places where you hear at least something happening
going
somewhere.
by. Right. We didn't even hear a police siren.
No.
I mean, it was just nothing.
I mean, every now and then you see lights of an airplane going over like high in the sky, but that's really about it.
Also, occasionally, I mean, there is like some type of, I guess the Chesapeake Bay is right close by, right?
Right.
Occasionally, I don't know if it was a motorboat or something, but it was pretty.
Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what you heard. You might have heard one of the caretakers on a side by side down over.
Right.
That when we was out there, you could hear.
Yeah, they had like little golf cart things.
Yeah, you'd see the little light go by because James was on a side by side. Because at one point he had to come up and get some stuff from me, and he came up.
It sounds like one of those motors. Yeah.
I was hearing the majority.
Yeah. It's Susquehanna River. So,
Desiree, we missed you last night.
Definitely.
I hope you're feeling better. You have to stay posted when we're there again.
So, Dave, what was your favorite part about last night?
All of it. And everything got better. Like we had all those people come in, and it just got better when everybody left. Like most people left, and I hate to say that, but like it amped up. Like they were happier. I don't know.
I had a feeling that was going to happen because our groups came in like two part. And when we were there first and the group was smaller, we were in that parlor, it was off the hook. As soon as the rest of the group filtered in, it kind of was like, sporadic.
Right.
Then when half of the group left when it got late and everyone decided that some people wanted to stay, it just ramped back up again. And I knew that was.
And that's when we all went up to the second floor. That's when all that stuff popped off.
Yeah.
Now, Jay, what was your favorite part about last night?
Honestly, to be sincere about it, when I kept on hearing the person, like the woman talking, and you hear them, my king even dropped, like his mouth probably dropped too, also, because once that happened, we were trying to figure out what was going on, and then you hear the footsteps downstairs. Ernie runs out to check it, and nobody's there. Comes back in the room. Next thing we know, I literally hear somebody. I felt like somebody walked up on the porch. 3 seconds to 5 seconds later, boom, the door opens up.
See, and I forgot to mention that. Dave told me before the squeaking of the door, he said it sounded like somebody on the porch.
Yeah.
But the good thing is, to get where we were at, you had to drive.
Mm-hmm.
And where we were located, even though we were on the second level, either way you come up, you'd see the reflections of that. Because the one thing I said was cool, when we were upstairs in one of the bedrooms and with all the trees around outside, when a car, like one of the guests would pull up and you'd hit that reflection, all you saw was tree branches on the wall, like in a movie. And that was just so creepy. That was creepy cool, yeah.
That place was just creepy.
So what was your favorite part?
Honestly, the bell tower where we kept getting the Addison. So the bell tower used to be apparently where you can look up, but apparently they've drywalled it off.
Mm-hmm.
But we were running a Phasma up there, and it kept getting your name, kept getting Addison, and
yeah, it said my name two or three times.
Yeah, quite a few times. And when we asked about Sandra.
I forgot about that.
We asked about we have a doll named because they had supposedly have a doll there somewhere that's dressed in pink that gets moved around. I'm like, well, we have a doll named Sandra. Do you know her? And then the voice went, stand by. We found her.
Yeah.
And we're like, is she okay? She's fine.
Yeah.
I was like,
now the one when we were in that bell tower, the one part, and Mike King, I think this impressed him. One of us said, "Introduce yourself. What's your name?" And it goes, very deep voice, Robert. And Mike's eyes just kind of got big because Mike, man, he's the biggest skeptic
around,
and his eyes just got and he's like, I said, Robert. I don't know, man. What was your favorite part, Dave?
Honestly, when I found out Laura had left and that voice, I mean, I heard the conversation and in my head I just kept going, why is she talking so loud? Because I was like, I was going to go down to her later on and say, Miss Laura, why are you? I was going to jump on her a little bit. And then when Dave said she just left about 30 minutes ago, I'm like, you could actually hear the detonation in my head. Like, wait a minute, that doesn't what?
But that shortly after you and Jay heard that lady speaking, that moan was just
it's blood curdling.
It sounded like it traveled right up the steps, man.
It did. It was a blood curdling.
Did you ever see me jump up and move?
No,
so fast?
His happy butt looked like Superman going down the steps trying to figure out what just. I thought Miss Laura had fallen. That's why I stopped.
It was the loud.
He was more like Flash, Yeah.
Yeah, he just gone. I'm like, whoa.
But that was very loud, man. But I don't know. I don't even know what to say, man. I can't wrap my head around everything that happened in such 4 hours or whatever. We were there.
I mean, we got there at about 5?
We got there at 5. The guests started arriving at 7.
Right, and everybody started arriving at 7 or 7:30 ish. So, but it's just when like 10 o'clock ish is where it really amped up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I definitely want to get our cameras in there. That's going to be wicked wild.
And there was we got a lot of things both on the obelisk as well as the Phasma box that if you think a little bit, like it said the number 9.
Right. And apparently there was somebody named Pete that you kept getting at. And somebody named Pete did a whole bunch of posts, and there's 9 posts up there.
Right. Because at one point we asked some question, and it said Pete. And I'm like, who the hell's Pete? And we didn't find that out until today.
We found that out. Dreama found it. So Dreama did a little bit of homework today, which was really cool.
That's the name we kept on getting down at the pavilion too, right?
Yeah. A couple things started to line up but it just seems that whomever's there and whenever they're from, they have an issue with remodeling.
Yeah.
And when I say remodeling, I mean building. But at one point, because it kind of took a little twist on us, and we were doing a Phasma session, and I said that, whoever it is was speaking with, are you from the past or more from our time? And it immediately said past.
Yeah.
So
that place is wild. So we're definitely going to have another investigation there, a little bit smaller, a little more intimate. And
you said impotent. He wants to have an impotent investigation.
I coughed in the middle of the show. Well, guys, we are going to call it a short night tonight because we got a little bit more to discuss about some upcoming events. So I appreciate you coming in. And I appreciate your time, guys. So
glad you guys enjoyed the night, man. Glad you got the experience.
Definitely.
I know Jay. I know he was just
honestly
going crazy.
It blew my mind. Till now. I'm still. Let's say it's something I've gotten to the point where I watch so much videos, and I'm like, damn, I want to experience the same thing, and I was able to experience something similar to it. So let's just say that's one of the best ones for me.
And
Yeah, it was an awesome night.
Paranormal is not about showing somebody it's a ghost. That's not what paranormal is about. Paranormal is about showing people something you can't explain. That's not normal. It's paranormal. And did both of you have a paranormal experience last night by that definition?
Yeah, literally.
I can hear Jerse's mind just blowing, man.
I'm glad he got to hear what he believes to be like a conversation.
The other thing was, I did also message to you. Sorry, while we were in the living room area, me, Ernie, you had left upstairs, Dave. We were still doing the, I guess the mag light, still trying to get responses and stuff. And then Ernie had placed, I don't know what he did, but he placed like a pan with some magnetic things on it and the toy monkey.
Yep.
So as we were doing that, I was sitting, I guess, this side, and somebody else was sitting directly across from me, but there's a window. I kept on seeing movement, like literally somebody walking around behind her. I was like, what is that? Is that the tree lines or something? I was like, I'm gonna just not say anything because I'm not sure completely what it was, but it looked like it was like a figure of a person walking behind her.
When you see something, say something.
There wasn't nobody. There was no one around out there, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we were so far up that road off the beaten path. I mean,
yeah, you could bury bodies and they never find it out there in the woods.
I gotta say,
wow,
man,
Dave.
Sorry, I went a little dark there. I
gotta say, as far as Ramblewood, of course, we love the exploration of this field, and we like to try to come up with answers and this and that. But if you ever want to investigate and you want that whole spooky, creepy Scooby-Doo setting, Ramblewood is the place to go. Please watch.
I've been to so many places that I walk in and I joke, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Yeah, I joke about that. Dude, I wanted to Scooby-Doo a couple times at that point in that place because, I mean, just that creep factor. It's that old, Jeffrey Dahmer kind of house, Norman Bates kind of thing. And
it's definitely spooky, man. So keep, for everybody watching or listening, keep an eye or ear out for when we're going to be there again. Yep. If you love investigating or you haven't,
creepy, spooky,
this is the place you want to go, man. Because
if you want to get in touch with the caretakers and do your own investigation, Miss Laura has numbers, Ernie has numbers. Get in touch with them. Set something up there. It's really
you'll have more fun with us though.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but having you guys as hosts is a lot better than some of the people I've been with. So
appreciate that,
they'll want to have you two there and Jay too.
Yeah. I like Jay because Jay, if for those that
he's
don't
got
know,
an energy, brother.
For those that don't know Jay, man, he's a quiet guy. He's real sincere and genuine,
and always got a smile on his face. Always got a smile.
Man, when he was experiencing stuff last night, he was just like that.
Yeah, he's like
it couldn't have happened to a better person.
The look at his look at Price is like Ernie, did you do Ernie?
I looked at him. I was like, "What is going on?" Because
he's only walking backwards, like, yeah, there's something going on down there. Go look at it.
Hey, wait, how come normally you're the one that gets sent out?
I know.
Last night I'm the one checking doors and hey, there's a woman screaming upstairs. Go up there by yourself and see what's going on.
Yeah, normally I'm Aaron. Last night I turned him into Aaron.
Yeah, I was doing all that. That's not the way this is supposed to work now, guys.
That's funny.
Hey, thanks for joining us,
guys.
man.
Thank you. God bless. Love you. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in with us.
Definitely. Tonight. We'll let you know if we're going back up there because you guys are on the short list. So
yeah, I'll be there.
All righty.
All right. We'll talk to you guys.
See you guys
later.
Man,
that place was like no elevators. Whoever said that. But yeah, Ramblewood is the place. We're definitely going back there, man.
Speaking of places we're going.
Oh, Lord Almighty.
Let's just go month by month.
Oh, here we go.
Upcoming events, guys.
So let's start with Christmas, January, we're kind of clear now.
Yeah.
So we need a break. But here it comes.
We will. I'm not going to confirm the date yet because, to be quite honest, we had a tentative date, but it's not etched in stone until the beginning of December. But Paranormal Inc. will be having a public investigation with our dear friend.
I forgot. Here, let me scroll this banner while I'm doing this.
With our dear friend and psychic medium, Rick Hayes. And Dave, would you like the honors of saying where that's public investigation is going to be? I'll give you a hint.
Anyone?
We're not supposed to say, and we won't say.
We're going
but
to
your hint is
we're going to the hills. Somewhere in the hills are alive. Yeah, hills. And we're going to wave at them.
Moving on to April. Man, this is going to be amazing. I got to tell you, just a couple people it's going to be there. We are talking about the East Tennessee Paracon in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Okay. This is a 3-day Paracon. And
listen to some of the names that are going to be there. And we've been invited. We're going to be there in Tennessee. Near Dollywood.
That's so cool, man.
There's a tunnel that we got to go through that basically you beep your horn and it sounds like the echoes all the way through. It's really
cool. Okay, let me tell you.
I'm impressed by a tunnel. It doesn't take much.
All right. It's April 28th, 29th, and 30th. Of course, Dave and I will be there. But from the Tennessee Wraith Chasers, we're going to have Chris Smith and Mike G. One of my, not that I've ever explored or investigated Bigfoot, but I love watching all the shows. One of my favorite shows, and this just by chance, is Expedition Bigfoot. So from that show, we got Ronnie LeBlanc and everyone else's favorite paranormal investigator, Dave Schrader. He will be there. You may have met Dave at the Bash. The Turtle Man will be there.
Love the Turtle Man.
Okay. We also got Adam Davies, the Squatch Watchers.
They're fun.
Jay and Marie Yates. A few others. Our personal friend, Dr. Rebecca Foster, will be there. And and then our regular crew kicks in. Sam Baltrusis. Sam will be there. I think Sam's going to have to get his own private jet, man. Because every day I log on to whatever social media, Sam's in another state doing his thing. Yeah, it's so crazy. But oh my gosh, the list just goes on and on.
Yeah, there's a huge
list. MC of the event is Ed Brown. Yep. I never met Ed personally, but he's a hell of a guy, man. And our dear friend Josh and his wife are putting this all together. We can't wait, man. I mean, despite the fact of why we're going there, I just heard Pigeon Forge is amazing, because it's, as soon as I found out we were in Tennessee, I messaged Porter and I was like, hey, you ever been to Pigeon Forge? And Porter just sends me photos.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh wow.
Yep. So I've been down to Dollywood. I love Pigeon Forge. They have this it's called On the Mountain Golfing. And it's a putt-putt golf that's all through a mountain.
Right.
So, and when you hit the ball, if it can stay on the course, you're powering one.
Now, moving on to May.
May.
Other than my anniversary and my birthday, where I'm going to be 29 again, May is the Rochester Parafest.
Yeah.
And
Rochester,
for those
New
that
York.
were there this past year, man, you know how much fun we had. Thank goodness it's not in March this year.
Yeah, it was,
because it was
snow.
For us Maryland boys,
it was snow.
It was a cold that we never experienced before.
Yeah, I sneezed and it actually turned to glass before it hit the damn cold out there.
And then in July, we got the Paravation event back down in Virginia. You may remember that. Myself, Dr. Rebecca, Chris DeCesare, Jeremy Leonard, we all spoke. Oh, and Jeremy, I'm so sorry, Jeremy Leonard's going to be at the Tennessee Paracon. So that's July. And then August. Or no, July also is the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash.
Yep.
I'm so used to saying August.
Yep.
But
July.
yeah, the Paravation is a little toward the beginning, and that's toward the end. Am I missing anything? Rochester, Kentucky, Tennessee, Virginia, the Bash,
Pennsylvania. No.
And then whatever.
We're bouncing like a rubber ball.
Whatever public.
Then whatever public we're doing at that point.
In between. We will be returning to the Sam Miller Mansion. That's one of everybody's favorites, along with ours.
Yeah, that Dave was the one who actually saw me. It looked like I got.
Yeah.
You know what? Dave's still here. Dave, I'm bringing you back in for a minute. So I'm bringing you back in. Surprise. So at the Sam Miller Mansion, you were the one that was behind me when I got hit.
Yes.
All right. So what was I doing when what happened? What happened?
When you fell backwards?
Yeah. So what
I don't
was I
remember,
doing?
to be honest with you.
All right. So I was literally walking out. We've been down in the basement a long while, and I stopped. I just turned my light about right here. Said, "Hey guys, just watch your footing on the way out." And as I turned back, something hit me on my right side. It felt like a linebacker hit me. And I went into the wood that was on my left, and I actually scraped all up in my arm. And I'm hanging on like this. Felt like something hit me like right here and drove me back. I had a goose egg, a bruise on my left butt cheek about that big for like 2 weeks. I had a heck of a hematoma. But Dave was the one that was right behind me, and we were upstairs, and all I heard somebody say, and I actually found out yesterday was him. He goes, "Yeah, it looked like somebody hit you like a football player, dude." So I'm like, wow. So Gettysburg.
Yeah, you went pretty quick.
Yeah, I went down like a train.
And you got to figure, man, we've been in that basement a million
times.
It's
and
like I know
my feet weren't moving.
Yeah.
I was.
Well, that's what I heard because somebody has it on video, and the way they described it to me, it looked like your leg buckled.
Yeah, it's somebody hit it.
Right.
Something hit me on the side. And I mean, just literally.
That's exactly what was explained to me. And that was told to me that night. Because when I found out because somebody yelled, "Hey, Dave just got taken out," or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
And that now I had all the equipment in my hand, all the stuff. I didn't drop one piece. I didn't drop. My phone slid out of my pocket, but I'm like, get the equipment. Okay, now get me. Okay.
That was payback for when I protected the equipment. You damn near broke my nose at Haldeman.
I did.
So you got paid back for that one.
Yeah, we've had some fun along the way.
We're gonna come out with the Paranormal Inc. Public Investigations bloopers reel.
That and the Paranormal Inc. first aid kit.
Oh Jesus!
All right, Dave will be in touch, man.
Thank you again, brother.
Thank you very much, guys.
Lots of love, man.
But we will be returning soon to Sam Miller, and also, I mean, we're already in talks with going back to Ramblewood. So.
Absolutely.
Guys, we won't see you before Thanksgiving, so please.
Happy Turkey Day. Have a safe one.
Yeah, have a good.
Enjoy your family, whether it be the real family, your extended family.
Well, just remember this, man. It's not what's on the table; it's who's around it.
Amen.
So, we will see you the weekend of Thanksgiving, and check out East Tennessee Paracon. It is going to be freaking amazing. I've been in contact almost every day with Josh, and he's giving me update. It's going to be so cool, man. If you have the ability to get there, get there.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to be wicked.
We'd love to see some familiar faces down there.
We're going. Guys,
happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. And, we'll see you around Christmas.
Happy birthday, Ashley. And we will see everyone the weekend of Thanksgiving on our next episode.
See you guys.
You've been listening to Step Into the Paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler. Thank you for listening, and listen in next week for another topic and more great guests right here on WLFE DB Radio Network.